On Lasqueti, I belong to a writers group that performs at our annual arts festival. And because I'm sort of one of the oldest residents of Lasqueti, I try to do a character sketch of one of the pioneers.
How cool.
So this was how I turned my one-liner into our family history.
Let's hear it.
When I was a child, I often had the feeling there was someone else sitting at the table. None of us could see, a shadow in my mother's eye. Our kitchen table was extremely large, crafted by our handyman uncle to meet the needs of our constantly growing family. The top was also used as our introduction to the game of ping pong. On high days and holidays, the table could be dismantled, legs sectioned from top to be put at the end of the dining room table when our extended family came to dinner. Normally, there were 11 of us seated for the evening meal: mother, father, the 8 of us, children, and Gwen Cook from Lasqueti Island, who came to us in 1938 between the births of number 7 and 8 to be mother's helper. We had a large extended family with many aunts, uncles, and grandparents who frequently joined us at the table. My parents for many years were the only ones married with children. None of the relatives had a table large enough to accommodate our brood, so they came to us instead. We always knew when Aunt Ina was coming because Mother would make one of her favorite meals, either Irish stew or goulash. When you were cooking for 11, it was very easy to stretch the portions to cover 1 or 2 extras. Sunday was more planned, as our grandparents and Aunt Jenny regularly arrived off the streetcar outside our church as we were leaving Sunday school to escort us home and stay for lunch and dinner. While our guests could not return Mother's hospitality with a meal, they did with service. Uncles packed in the winter firewood or did the minor repair jobs. Aunts helped with the cooking and cleaning or tending the wee ones. Granny was constantly darning socks and kept us in knitted garments, while Grandpa, who owned a shoe repair shop, went home every week with a few pairs of shoes in need of his talents. So why would Mother gaze so mysteriously toward the table? The seats were filled. The family radiated good health. There was ample nourishing food for all. The diners were merry and showed their appreciation for the tasty repast. Many years later, when I was doing research for the family history, I learned with the birth of her 8th child, the doctor had warned my parents that 8 was definitely enough. My mother's body could not stand another pregnancy. Although only 33 years old, Mother had been constantly pregnant for the past 10 years, from my conception in February of 1929 to my brother's birth in January 1939. Mother was healthy through her pregnancies and produced beautiful big babies, which she loved dearly, but had developed a severe case of anemia. Was it the thought of no more babies that caused the look of sadness? Could she see the faces of those unborn babies waiting for a place at her table? Or in my youth, did I interpret the look incorrectly? Was Mother actually counting her numerous blessings and quietly saying a prayer of thanks for this happy, healthy family and her numerous good friends? By 1950, the chairs had begun to empty with our marriage and Gwen's and deaths among the senior relatives and friends. But the chairs were soon filled with our friends and our babies. The Saturday soccer crowd had been replaced with the members of my brother's English rugby team, who claimed they played a much better game if they had a bowl of Mother's homemade soup for lunch before the game. The unexpected death of Father in 1956, 6 months before they were to retire to Denman Island, devastated Mother. As Mother looked at the empty seat at the head of the table, she knew her family still needed her. 2 more were to be married in the next 2 months, and 2 more grandchildren were on their way. Her chairs would quickly fill up with the next generation. By 1965, the big kitchen table had been carefully moved to the basement. Its smaller replacement didn't remind her so much of the empty seats and all the changes that had occurred in her family. But once again, on festive occasions, the big table emerged from the depths and took its rightful place, complete with tablecloth, joining the dining room table to host a family gathering. With each gathering, there would still be a handful of old and new friends filling out the seats, and Mother couldn't help but look at the merry crowd and be reminded of so many other happy times with a missing family and friends.
That's the best story I've ever heard. Thank you, Pat.
I had forgotten I'd written that, and I should have proofread it before I started out.